Okay, guys, we've got a lot to get to on today's show because once again, we have proof that we are under assault in America and the country is hanging by a thread. I want to start with one of my all-time favorite shows is Friends. Okay, I'm sure that's a controversial comment. You guys can come for me in the comments, like my unpopular Taylor Swift opinion from yesterday. But Friends is one of the all-time classic comedies. And as I was watching the news last night with regard to the Colorado Supreme Court and their decision to disqualify President Trump from the primary ballot, which we're going to take apart here in a second, but I was thinking about it and how I wanted to frame it for today's show and also for my podcast. And the scene from Friends, let me set it up for you because nobody else, I guarantee you, nobody else in media is going to apply Friends to what the Colorado Supreme Court did to President Trump yesterday. Okay, this is why you come to this show, to Dinesh and to me. So there's an episode, actually there's a narrative arc in Friends where the couple of the series is Ross and Rachel. And it's will they get together, won't they get together? They drag that out for a couple of seasons. Finally, they get together. And then the relationship kind of hits a wall because Rachel's working all the time. And so they're not together and there's a lot of tension. So at one point, they have a huge argument. And Rachel says, well, I think maybe we should take a break. And so they go on a break in their relationship. Finally, after a couple of episodes, they're both miserable. Ross goes off and sleeps with someone else, and it becomes a whole thing. We were on a break. But when they reconcile and they get back together, they're kind of lying together, very intimate. They're so happy that they're back together. And Rachel says to Ross, you know, everybody was really skeptical that I would get back together with you and that this would work again. And Ross is like, why? And Rachel says, well, my mother was all once a cheater, always a cheater. And of course, Ross goes ballistic, right? And they end up storming away from each other. The reason I'm raising this particular exchange between Ross and Rachel on Friends is because it directly applies to the Democratic Party. It applies to the left. It applies to the system, the regime. Once a cheater, always a cheater. You need to understand that the left knows, the Democrats know that they cannot win without cheating. They cannot win based on their candidates. They cannot win based on their messaging. They cannot win based on their policies or their politics. They can only win based on cheating. One exception is if they have an exceptional candidate, and I use the word exceptional as like the global exceptional, like a Barack Obama. Absent someone like an Obama that lit the country on fire, they have to cheat. Now, as many of you guys know, my very first job out of college was with former President Richard Nixon. Nixon and I spent a pretty good deal of time talking about the 1960 presidential election. That election, he was a sitting vice president. He ran against John F. Kennedy, and he and Kennedy were friendly in the U.S. Senate. I mean, they worked very well together. That election was the first modern one. And of course, fraud has been going on since the beginning of time. Dinesh has done an entire movie on this, okay? So we all know it. The left has been doing this in the modern times, at least since 1960. President Nixon and I talked about it. And Nixon was actually presented with concrete evidence of election fraud on election night. In his hotel suite, they brought him concrete evidence of voter fraud in 3 states, Illinois, which was still a swing state at the time, Cook County, the Daily machine, they were rigging the machines in the back. So just to be clear, this is how they rigged it in 1960 with, remember the old metal voting machines, and you'd go in and you'd pull the lever and the curtain would go back, and then you go in and you'd press down the metal levers, right? So the way they rigged those machines in 1960 was that for every voter who went in to the machine and pulled it, if you went in and you voted for Mr. Kennedy and you clicked the lever, in the back, the Kennedy lever would go down. If you went in and voted for Mr. Nixon and pulled the lever in the back, both levers went down. So every single voter going into those rigged machines was actually voting for Kennedy, even if you went in and voted for Nixon. So Nixon and I talked about it extensively. And now what's happened is that the left and the Democrats have brought in this whole systematic rigging into the 21st century with very sophisticated techniques, as Dinesh and others have deconstructed very effectively. So that's one part of the equation. But here's the key in the era of Donald Trump. They can't just do garden variety rigging anymore, because Trump is not just a candidate. Trump is leading a movement. And it's not just a political movement. This is a spiritual movement as well. Okay. So again, at the beginning of the week, we talked about the spiritual nature of this war. The spiritual nature of the war is happening on a much higher plane. The politics are lower, but it's all interrelated. So the left knows that it cannot win and it can't beat this thing with its average run-of-the-mill rigging. It's got to pull out all of the stops. And what we are now seeing is lawfare against President Trump, but it's also lawfare against the America First movement. It's lawfare against you and me, and it's lawfare in this kind of spiritual dimension as well. I want to hit a quick break because I'm going to put all of the pieces of this together, including going back to 2016 and then 2020, bringing it into today and what they're doing. And we're going to talk about the Colorado Supreme Court decision as well, and how that is an integral element of everything we're talking about. Guys, it is all working together. You need to understand it so that you can see it clearly. Coming right back. Okay, guys, we all know the holidays are crazy and we're all exhausted, right? We all need a really good sleep. Best way to get great sleep? MyPillow. MyPillow is now excited to bring you their biggest bedding sale ever, and just in time for this crazy holiday season. For a limited time, get the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98. I've got them. They're amazing. I sleep like a baby, and for me, that's hard to do. Also, a set of pillowcases for only $9.98, and rejuvenate your bed with a MyPillow mattress topper for as low as $99.99. And guys, I have to tell you, I've got the mattress topper. It's amazing. You just kind of sink into the bed and boom, you're out. They also have blankets in a variety of sizes, colors, and styles. They even have blankets for your pets. So don't leave Fido out of this equation, okay? Get duvets, quilts, down comforters, body pillows, bolster pillows, and so much more, all with the biggest discounts of the year happening right now. They're also extending their money-back guarantee for Christmas until March 1st, 2024, making them the perfect gifts for your friends, your family, and everybody you know. So go to mypillow.com and use promo code Dinesh or call 800-876-0227, and you'll get huge discounts on all MyPillow bedding products.